Hello and welcome to episode 117 of the Subie and You podcast. Say that with me, 117 episodes. On today's episode, we do something a little bit different. We're going to be talking about rally, stage rally to be specific, but not just about rally. We're going to be talking about this guy who really is passionate about driving stage rally. His name is Stephen Redd, and we will hear from him in just a little bit and hear about his build, his story, his journey through his rally career, and some of the other racing that he has been involved in. He's also associated with a couple of brands or a few brands that we all know and love, so we'll get to hear about that as well. But we will get to his episode here in just a little bit. This episode is brought to you by Melee Design Firm. They are your one-stop shop for all your battery and battery mount kits. They also have 10% off right now if you use the code TAXTIME on select battery mount kits. So be sure to check out their website at meleedesignfirm.com. Not only do they have awesome battery mounts, but they also have engine bay cabs, front strut tower bars, and Melee merch. But they're also a distributor for anti-gravity batteries as well as some other great brands. So be sure to go check them out. Also, for you Crosstrek owners out there, the battery mount is now available for the Subaru Crosstrek. However, because it is so new, it is not available with the 10% discount, but that should not stop you from securing your battery. Again, you can find that battery mount at meleedesignfirm.com. Also, if you haven't done so, go check out Melee's episode on episode 40, and you can hear my great conversation with Mitch. Thank you so much, Melee Design Firm, for sponsoring the Subie and You podcast. On Friday, I went out with some people that live out here in the west side of Houston area, and we found a nice little mud spot that was really cool. So now I have a new spot to go have some fun in, but I was able to get some pretty good content for my other sponsor, Rika VS. If you go to rikavs.com/Subie and You, it'll take you to the landing page for the Subie and You podcast in collaboration with Rika VS. On their website, you can find a beautiful set of Tetons, Seekers, Detours, or the new Drifter, whichever suits your taste. And Rika is committed to providing you with the highest quality specialized wheels and lift kits that will allow you to travel further, experience new adventures, and discover all of those extraordinary destinations. Rika wants to make sure that you are ready for anything wherever adventure takes you. Their Flowform process creates both lightweight and durable wheels, which are of the highest quality and are built to satisfy the requirements of all of you adventure enthusiasts. Rika's lift kit raises your Subaru to protect the vehicle's underbody from damage while off-roading. The lift kits were also designed to increase the vehicle ride height in order to accommodate those larger tires while maintaining the factory ride quality and alignment. The quest for adventure begins with you, and Rika is what gets you there. If you have not heard their episode on the Subie and You podcast, go check out episode 58 to hear Rika's story. Be sure to use the code SUBIEU10 to get 10% off your purchase of wheels or a lift kit. Thank you so much, Rika VS, for sponsoring the Subie and You podcast. We have another Apple Podcast review. Thank you all so much for rating and reviewing. I really appreciate it. This one comes from Chip, who goes by NR the OBXT, and that's NR_the_OBXT, who writes with the caption or title, "Great guests and Subaru content." I was fortunate to come across this podcast from episode 1. The guests come from all walks of life, and the Subarus they drive vary. The common denominator is their love for Subarus, their ride, and the respect for the Subaru community. Raphael is a great host, and he's able to spark great conversations weekly. What are you waiting for? Give this podcast a listen. Thank you so much, Chip, for the awesome review. I really, really appreciate it. That was really great. Thank you. So again, if you are listening to the podcast via the Apple Podcast app, please go rate and give a 5-star review. I would really, really appreciate it, and I will read your review. Before we get into this episode, I want to thank you all so much for listening to the podcast, for showing up every week, and of course, for sharing it, because sharing is caring. And also, sharing helps more people come to the podcast and get to know it. And it's not just because it's like, oh, great, more people are listening to the podcast and there's more listeners and more downloads, but there's more people getting connected with each other the more that you share. And who knows, you might end up meeting your best friend because of this podcast. I know a couple of guys who became really, really good friends because of the podcast. Anthony, who goes by Judy the Subie, and Charlie, who goes by Falcon Rue 1. I know that there are other people that have gotten connected because of the podcast as well. So please keep sharing and please keep connecting with one another, because I think the podcast has been very helpful for that. At least that's what people tell me. And so I'm grateful that the podcast has been able to bring people together in a new and different kind of way. I also want to say thank you to the people who request to have business cards sent to them and pass them out at events. I really, really appreciate that. And that also helps people come to know the podcast and spread the word. So thank you all so much for those of you who have passed out cards and, spread the Subie love, the Subie podcast love. Really, really appreciate that. Thank you. And now we will get into this episode with Stephen Red and hear about his Subaru journey, his love of stage rally, and his build that he has worked on to start driving stage rally again. So here we go with his episode. Well, I'm ready to get started whenever you are.
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay, cool. Well, welcome to the Subie and You podcast. Thank you for taking the time to do this. And why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
My name is Stephen Red. Been driving rally cars since 2013 was my first event. Been into cars since I could be, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't really remember why I got into cars, but I know I just liked cars. I've always had some sort of car that I was modifying or tinkering with.
Is it something like you grew up with your dad doing tinkering with cars, or just kind of found an interest on your own?
Just kind of found an interest on my own. Yeah, my dad wasn't really like into cars or anything like that. I don't really know what drew me to them, but
here you are.
They're pretty heavy.
Yeah, and here you are. So what was your first rally experience like when you started back in 2013?
I had a 2001 Subaru Impreza 2.5 RS, a two-door coupe, which is
nice,
like a unicorn these days. Like you don't find two doors.
Yeah.
So I built that in my garage with my buddies. And then it's actually kind of funny. It was the Olympus rally, but there was like some weirdness going on with so like ARA runs things now, but back then it was Rally America, and the Olympus organization and Rally America were not getting along, and they weren't running under the Rally America banner. So Nameless actually took over and footed like the bill for the rally essentially, and it was called the Nameless Performance Stage Rally, and that was my first rally before, and that was before I even knew about Nameless or worked here. It was kind of funny.
Yeah, that's interesting how that kind of came full circle for you.
Yeah.
Now we know that you work at Nameless Performance.
Yeah, I'm the sales and R&D manager here.
That's cool. That's cool.
Been here since 2015.
Okay. So when you're with your first rally experience, like what was it like being out on the course? Were you a little nervous? Were you excited and got some adrenaline going? And I guess, do you always end up having a co-driver for something like that?
Yeah, you always got to have a co-driver for stage rally.
Okay.
So there's someone there. I had a guy named Phil Myers. He was like it was actually his first time co-driving, but he was driving for like many years before that. So he knew the ropes pretty well, because I knew nothing about how stage rally worked. And, I was young, so at the time I was like, oh, I can drive, like I'm a good driver or whatever. And you get out there and a couple corners in, you're like, oh, this is scary. Like, okay.
Yeah.
And then, and then you start having fun. I was starting to have fun, and then I was kept like pushing the car and going faster and faster and faster. And I surprised Phil a couple times about how quickly and good I was doing. And a lot of other people in the class, because that class at the time was open light. So it was like 4-wheel drive, NA, naturally aspirated, and then you could do whatever you want besides the turbo. And some fast guys in that class, and I was, starting to chip away at their heels by the end of the event. And
Nice.
then, yeah, next year is when I really blossomed in like 2014, and I was just starting to spank everybody in that class, and that was that was pretty funny.
Yeah, it's
But
awesome too. What kind of preparation did you do before that first race?
before that, like I did a lot of rallycross, which is autocross in a field basically.
Yeah.
That was about the only experience I had driving on dirt or gravel. And then just like at the time I worked for Primitive Racing. I don't know if you've heard of them.
Oh yeah. They were on the podcast way back. I think
Oh,
episode
okay.
20 maybe.
So yeah, I worked for them for a long time, before I actually moved to Nameless. So Paul, the owner at the time, was big into stage rally.
Yeah.
So I kind of, hanging around, helping there, how I learned like the backside of it and how to prep the car and, do all that stuff.
I want to go out to a rally at some point. I've never been to one. The most I've ever seen of rally is on Instagram and watching Launch Control. That's
Okay.
about my experience and exposure to rally, or stage rally.
Yeah. I highly recommend going and watching one.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, videos are cool and all, but like being there on the side of the road in the middle of the woods and have a car blow by you at like 80 miles an hour and spray you with gravel, like it's it's crazy. Like I love spectating still. Like I did some last year when my car wasn't ready. And you just hang out, drink some beers, barbecue some food back at the car. You just hang out in the woods all day. Like it's a good experience.
That sounds horrible, man.
Yeah, I know.
How long did you end up racing that first Subaru?
So I raced it up until the end of 2015. And then by that time, I started working at Nameless. They had a BRZ, which
No,
that car
yeah,
right there.
nice.
And then that was like their shop rally car. And they had a couple other guys that were driving it. And then they offered me to drive it. So I drove that car for 2016, 2017.
Okay.
And then the chassis was kind of done. It needed a lot of work. They got what they wanted as a company out of the marketing and
Yeah.
all that stuff. And so they basically retired it, which was fine. Raced my first car for a couple of years, sold it, and then did that one for 2 years.
What was after that one?
So after that, Nameless was getting into Formula Drift. So I was like a mechanic for Ryan Turk and Chris Forsberg. I don't know if you follow Formula Drift at all.
I do not.
Also another cool thing to watch.
Yeah, I was scrolling through your Instagram posts and I saw some in there. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it was good time. Basically, we just like traveled around the states, and there's 8 rounds, and I was one of the mechanics. So, but doing that, I was like, man, this looks fun. Like I'm a good driver. By that point in my life, like I became also like very skilled mechanic, really good fabricator. So I was like, I'm gonna build a car. And so I built like a really nice drift car. And there's like at the time it's called like Formula Drift Pro Am, and then there's Pro 2, and then there's Pro. And Pro is obviously the top level, and then Pro 2 is like the middle, and Pro Am is, the beginner guys trying to get up.
Yeah.
So I was doing the Pro Am, and I did that for a year. Had a lot of fun. I just couldn't get like the sponsorship I needed to continue it for another year because it's quite expensive.
Yeah, I can imagine.
It's like it's a weird sport. So like you drive a small little circuit and you're driving for 20-30 seconds tops, and that's your run.
Wow, I didn't
So
realize it was that short of a time.
yeah, and in that time, like you'll do two runs. So you do a lead lap and you have a guy chase you, and then you swap, and then you chase him. And then, in that you kill a brand new set of tires.
Yeah.
So, there's a couple $100 right there. And then those cars, mine was a supercharged LS, so it made like 600 horsepower, and it drank the fuel pretty quick. So, it was a couple gallons of fuel and a pair of tires per lap. And then, you're going out and you kill 20 tires in the weekend,
Jeez.
and you're doing 40 gallons of race gas. It adds up super quick. So it just wasn't sustainable for me.
Yeah, and so you were just doing that and no stage rally at the time, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So what was that time frame that you were doing that?
2017 was my last rally. I think 2018 or 2019, I was doing the drifting.
Okay.
I forget. Pretty bad. Yeah. And then I didn't do the next season of Pro Am, and I just did like local grassroots events because it was more fun not having to worry about like the competition aspect of it. And you're not committing to a full season, so it's obviously less money. So I did that, and then I had like I built a 325i BMW and used that to drift because that was substantially cheaper. And then I sold everything because I was not driving the drift car. It was just sitting around. I actually traded it for a 911 turbo,
Oh yeah, the
which
yellow
was,
one.
yeah, that thing
Yeah,
was
I saw
cool.
that. That's my dream car.
Yeah, I recently just got rid of it, but yeah, that thing was, I scared myself one time pretty good. I was just cruising around the back roads, and, that car is geared to go on like the Autobahn, basically.
Yeah.
So like when you're going fast, it doesn't feel like you're going fast. And it was really long straightaway on the back roads, and I was in third or fourth gear going like 50, 55, just cruising behind somebody that was going pretty slow. And then I just went to pass them safely, and I like got over, and the car like wiggled funny, and I didn't do anything crazy. I didn't downshift. I just floored it around him. And I like looked down, but right when I passed him, I was going like 135. And I was like,
Oh
oh
my
my
God.
God. I was like, nope.
Oh wow.
But it felt like I was going like 60.
Yeah,
The cars are so smooth.
that
So
that means it accelerated pretty fast too.
yeah. So yeah, it was twin turbo, and it had full exhaust, and it was tuned. So it was making like 500 all-wheel
Wow.
horsepower. And
Nice.
yeah, it scooted.
Y-
But back to the car thing. So yeah, I sold the drift, or traded one drift car, sold the other one, and then a buddy of mine had a rally car that he wrecked into a tree pretty hard. The chassis itself was unusable, it's totally toast, but it had like a ton of really good parts on it, and he was getting booted out of his shop. The landlord was turning it into something else. So he's like, "Hey, I need this car out of my shop like today." And I was like, I don't have the money for that. Like, I don't want another project. And he was like, all right, I'll try to find somebody else. And then he called me the next weekend and was like, I literally need it gone today. Like, just give me an offer. So I like,
Five
it's like,
bucks.
yeah, pretty much. And he was like, cool, come get it. And I was like, oh crap. Okay.
Well, now I have to do this.
Yeah. What did I just do? And then I was like, well, I don't know. I'll just sit on it. Maybe I'll just sell the parts, get my money back, and call it a day. And then I got the wild hair. I was like, that'd be cool to build a WRC replica. And I was like, yeah, I'm gonna do that. So I the car I got was it was like a 0405 STI, the wrecked one. And I really like the S12. So the 06, 07 STI,
Mm-hmm.
that WRC model. So that's what I went after, and yeah, spent a lot of money on that.
So you bought that car and then you used the wrecked one for parts for it?
Yeah, so I stripped all the stuff off of it, and then got a new shell, and then
Okay.
yeah,
So what year was that when you started building this one and that happened?
that what was it? I think I started that in like late 18, 19, something like that.
Okay.
And that one took about three years to finish.
When you were doing the drifting and, after your first stage rally experience, were you kind of were you like thinking about doing stage rally again, or were you like, "Oh, okay, cool, I had my experience and now I'm on to this?" Or, was it something, I mean, was it like still in the back of your mind if like, I think I'd like to do stage rally again sometime?
Yeah, it was always in my mind. I sold that first car I had. I always wish I wouldn't, just because that car was so cool. But at the time, the money was cool.
Yeah.
But then I didn't have a car to drive because I was driving the BRZ. And when it got retired, I was like, oh well, I either have to find someone to let me drive their car again, or pay to drive a car, or build another car. And I was like, because I just finished the drift car, so building a car then wasn't really an option. But I did want to get back into rally. Rally's definitely the passion. I think if I didn't rally before drifting, I probably would have stuck with drifting more because I didn't know how much better rally is.
Yeah. Yeah, like
So
if you had just started off with drifting, you mean?
yeah,
Yeah. When you started doing like once you got the car finished, what was your first event once you got it done?
the new car.
Yeah.
So it was Tour de Forest last year, and that was the first time I had Mitch in the car as a co-driver.
Oh yeah, I know that guy.
Yeah, with good old Mitch Meadows.
Yeah. Melee Design Firm, episode 40.
So it's kind of funny story. Like he comes up to Nameless, and we do work together in projects, and then also Melee Media is his other company, and he shoots videos for Nameless and product photos and stuff. And he was always bugging me. He's like, "Hey, let me co-drive for you. Let me co-drive for you. Let me co-drive." And I'm just like, "Oh yeah, yeah." It's like there's like a whole slew of people that wanted to co-drive as soon as I finished that car.
That's good
And
though.
yeah, so I had a bunch of options, and just because it was a 1 day event for Tour de Force, and they cut it short, so it was like 30 30 miles, which is not a lot. So I was like, you know what? Whatever. All right, Mitch, hop in the car. Like, let's put your money where your mouth is. Let's see what you can do. And I should have known, because Mitch is such a go-getter and a hard worker, that he just killed it and knocked it out of the park.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay, let's go do next year. And he was like, wait, are you serious? And I was like, yeah, dude, like you're pretty good. I've sat with a bunch of people. Like, you're probably one of the better people I've sat with. Like, let's keep going and see where this goes. So I know he was super pumped about that.
Yeah, and wasn't he co-driving for Blake from Primitive Racing for a while?
Yeah, I don't know how many events they've done together, but he did that, and he's co-drove for a ton of other people too.
Okay.
Some real wheel drive guys, and
Now, is he exclusively co-driving for you right now, or since you started back up?
right now, yeah, like this season, he's the co-driver. I don't like to hop around, so like if I start with somebody at the beginning of the year, I want them the whole year,
Yeah, for that
or,
season.
for I guess for the events I'm doing, anyways.
Yeah, yeah, that's good. So, how many have y'all done so far?
Just that one.
Oh, just the one.
So,
Okay,
and then the next one is this coming week, or not this weekend, but next weekend.
okay, good.
So yeah, it's the Olympus Rally.
So, how many do y'all have total that y'all are going to be doing this year?
Right now, three confirmed.
Okay, that'll be nice.
And yeah, it's basically Olympus, the Oregon Trail Rally, which is end of May, and then there's the 1 day Oregon Trail Rally that's like June 16th or something like that.
Okay.
There's another event, but I have a wedding I have to go to, so
Oh,
Had to skip
That's
that
not
one.
important.
I know.
Yeah. So so you said it took what, about 3 years to get your car built up to where you wanted it to start racing?
Yeah. This one I like took my time on and like pretty much touched like every crevice of the car. I had it up on a rotisserie and like scraped all the seam sealer and body the rubberized stuff on the bottom, undercoating off. So I also do like I have my own company too, which is just Stephen Red Racing, and I do like roll cages and like fab work like that for people, build people race cars
Nice.
on the side. So I wanted this car to be like a showcase of what I can offer to people, essentially. So I took my time on it, and that's why it took so long, but turned out very nice.
Yeah, so it's basically like an advertising piece for you too.
Yep.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
What was the most challenging thing about building it?
Just probably the money. Just because, like at the level I was racing at and I still want to race at, like the cars are just expensive with the transmissions and diffs and the suspension you need to be going that fast. So all that just kind of like stacks on top of each other. So it just makes a lot of stuff very expensive. Another reason why it took so long. So, but in the end, it's worth it because now it's a very well sorted car with like top tier parts, and I did it right once, the first time, and I don't have to go back and upgrade stuff. It's all done right. So
Yeah. So when you were building it, did you like consult with anybody, or did you kind of, since you had been doing mechanic work, where you're like, okay, I know how to do this, I know what I need to do?
pretty much, there's like some stuff I would like bounce off ideas of people, but most of it was out of my own brain. I do like a lot of like deep dives on WRC car pictures, and if people uh, have access to them, I'd like, hey, how did they do this? And you get pictures, and then kind of see like those details. So I learned a lot about setting up the chassis to be like, if you do crash, like you don't want to do, there's like crumple zones on the front and back of the car where you don't want to add structure, so they can actually crumple and you can uncrumple them,
Okay.
essentially.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people will like overbuild the front of a car, and then if you do crash, since it's overbuilt, that crash gets transmitted further into the chassis, and then you'll like lose the chassis because it's unrepairable. So if you build it tough and then leave like the front end, a foot off the front end as not flimsy, but flimsy, then if you crash or when you crash, you just fix the foot of the front end and that's it.
Yeah. So that basically takes the brunt of all the damage and stuff. So
Yeah.
that's good. Yeah, that's good to know.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing you did most of it yourself, and was there anything that you weren't able to do?
Yeah. I did pretty much everything myself. I mean, like I had like friends help occasionally on things, just to make tasks go faster and stuff like that. I didn't do I didn't like build the motor. Like I outsourced that. I didn't build my transmission. I outsourced that. But pretty much everything else I did on my own. And I taught myself how to do like motorsports wiring. John Hoyanga, one of the owners here at Nameless, does that too. So he was like my little Yoda guy, basically like, all right, here's all my tools, like use these, here's how you do this. And so that was kind of nice because I had him basically over my shoulder whenever I needed it. But yeah, I learned how to do like, fully twisted motorsports wiring, which is a lot of work. I didn't realize how much work goes into those. I don't know if you've seen like really nice motorsports wiring, but it's insane the detail that goes into them.
Yeah, I did see one of your posts about that. That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does look like a lot of work. So can you take us through what the steps were that I mean, obviously start off with the chassis and then like where do you go from there? Like what do you kind of build up next until you get, I mean, you don't have to go through like every little detail, but just like the major parts of it.
Yeah. So on this car, basically, before you like cut anything out of the structure of the car, I like to add structure. So I'll do the roll cage because that adds a ton of structure back into the car. And then once I had that done, I was I planned on running E85 fuel, so I wanted a really, really big fuel cell in the back. And then I basically cut out the whole rear floor of the car, remade it all to fit a fuel cell. And then I redid all like the suspension geometry where the struts bolt in and made just beefcake like turrets basically in there. And then yeah, once I had like that done, it's like make a huge checklist. It's like, all right, what do you need to mount to a car? You're like brake lines, wiring locations, ECU mounts, seat mounts. Like, yeah, I have like a whole list of that. And then you just start checking it off as you make those mounts. Probably the biggest thing after all that was the body panels. So it's a company out of Poland and they bought all of ProDrive's molds and now they're remaking them. So they're like
Nice.
ProDrive WRC panels
That's cool.
and they're all like carbon Kevlar. So they weigh like pretty much nothing, which is cool, but makes them really expensive.
Yeah.
So yeah, then it was like fitting that on. So I've done a bit of body work, so I'm not unfamiliar with body work, but it's not my forte. I can do it, but I don't really like doing it, I guess. It's messy and Bondo dust is gross.
It's
But
necessary though to get it together.
yeah, and saves me a lot of money. So that's cool. But yeah, and then you get that done, and then it was like, okay. And that's one thing I had a problem with is like before you don't want to weld or do anything after you paint the car, right? So you're trying to get it all done beforehand, and it's like you can sit there for hours and like nickel and dime yourself and keep adding and adding and adding. And finally, I was like, all right, the car's getting painted next week. I just have to do it. Otherwise, I'll sit here for another year making more brackets. So yeah, after it got painted, then I was done, and then I could assemble it. Yeah, and then painting. There's a paint booth at Nameless, so just rolled in there and learned how to
Convenient.
paint. Yeah, it's very convenient. It was an old half their building was an old body shop, so makes it kind of nice because all the old body shop stuff's still in there.
Oh, that's perfect.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of work, a lot of time, a lot of hours. Very understanding girlfriend.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm going to be hanging out with the car tonight.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's good.
that was nice living close because then she can just like walk over,
Yeah.
hang out for a little bit.
So then after all that, then you start putting in like the engine and transmission and stuff.
Yeah, get all that in, and then once you have like the engine and trans in, then it was like, all right, well, where do I want to mount the turbo? And you're like, I want to mount it here, and then I'll build the turbo kit now. And all right, the front mount's going to sit here, so now I'll mount the intercooler and build the intercooler piping, and lots of checklists. That helps. Yeah, and then basically the inside, I like to mount the seat where I want to sit in the car comfortably, and then I mount the steering wheel and then the pedal box, and that way you're like perfect in there, and it's a very comfortable car to sit in.
Oh, that's good.
It's nice. Yeah, you could sit in there all day and be like totally fine.
And then you just kind of mount the co-driver seat wherever. Like you're going to sit there.
Usually for like weight distribution, you want it as far back into the car as you can get and as low as possible, just to
Okay.
keep the center of gravity low and then weight all the way in the back. So pretty much they sit how I sit.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, because I've noticed like just seeing some of the other cars and stuff, they do like look like they're pretty low and
Yeah.
far back. So, but it makes sense to distribute it that way.
And like So for like rally, because you're going pretty quick through the woods, your field of vision, you always want to be like 20, 30 yards ahead of where you're actually driving. So a way to like kind of cheat your eyes to not look over the front of the hood is to sit low and back, and then you can't see the hood at all. So
Yeah.
it forces you to look ahead.
I see what you're saying. Yeah. Yeah, because I know like in a regular car you see the hood and not much else, but that's for a
Yeah.
while. Yeah.
And it's like when you're going that fast, like, you like pull into a parking lot in your normal car and you can see over the hood or the side of the fender a little bit. And you're like, all right, I see that curb. Don't hit it. But in like a rally car, if you're worried about not hitting that curb that's right in front of you, you're into the tree the next corner, right? Because you
Yeah.
didn't see it coming.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a weird like mental thing to get over when you do stage rally as well.
Yeah, and I know that the pace notes are very, very critical to hitting all the turns and jumps and everything and any obstacles. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah. Pace notes are weird. Like I 100% rely on them when I'm driving. Like if whatever my co-driver is saying is exactly what I'm going to do. And if they're not, if they get like lost or something, it kind of like mentally gets you for a second. You're like, oh, wait. Okay. And then you got to drive what you see. But it's always weird because like I'll watch other people's in-car video with and hear them calling notes, and it's hard to follow through a video.
Yeah.
But when it's in your ear in the car, like it's totally different. I don't know, it's hard to explain to people, but it's a cool thing.
Now, do you have any unique like call notes that you use? Because I know certain people use different terms and stuff.
Not really. I try to keep it as simple as possible. I try not to do any like weird stuff. Like it's all pretty consistently the same. I know a few people who say and like add weird calls in there, and I don't know. I just I just want to hear only like a couple things, because I don't want to think too hard about what they're saying.
Yeah. What's been the most challenging thing for you with Rally?
I would say trying to stay like fast, I guess. It's probably more of like my own ego thing, but like when I started, like I was very fast, and then the older I got, the more like life priorities and stuff you have. So you're like, maybe I'll slow down a little bit, and then your ego kicks in, and you're like, no, you're fast. You need to go fast. That's like a weird balance thing.
Yeah, and then
So
having that confidence, especially after your first experience with it, knowing that you're like, hey, I'm actually pretty good and I'm getting some great compliments on my driving. So I know I can do this and be okay.
yeah, and it's like again, probably totally an ego thing. It's like I always think people expect me to be fast because I was fast, So that was something like getting back into it now. Like I have to like blank that out and just stop caring about that because
Yeah.
nobody probably cares, to be honest. No one
Yeah.
probably cares. So it is what it is.
For you, are you doing rally because you're competing and you're trying to win, or is it more of like, I just love doing this and I'm not as concerned of where I place?
It's definitely more of like a fun thing because I'm not doing a championship or anything, just doing like my local rounds. But I'm definitely very competitive, so I do want to go out and win. And
Yeah.
it's like, I want that $10 plastic trophy for my $100,000 car I built. I want that gratification. Yeah, I mean it's a fun thing to do with friends, and then, like I said, it's also showcases the car I built and how reliable it is and has been. Get more business from that too.
Yeah. And are you wanting to rally on a higher level at some point?
Eventually, I would like to do a whole national season through ARA, but they have been making it harder to do that. Like just with rule changes that make it even more expensive to run the car. If they get some of those rules that make it not as expensive, I would like to do it for sure. But right now, it's just not in the cards. Or if I somehow landed a huge sponsor that gave me a ton of money.
Yeah.
But
Are you able to talk about what the things are that are keeping you from being able to do it because of cost and making it expensive?
the biggest thing right now is so my car is open four-wheel drive, which is like the top level class. And they want you to run a spec fuel through VP. And you can buy it discounted at events, and it's not a bad rate. I think it's like 10 to 14 bucks a gallon or something like that. But if you are not at a race and you need to buy it to go like testing on your own or dyno tuning, it's like I don't even think you can buy it right now because another competitor was trying to go on the dyno and he couldn't even get it. I think he eventually did, but it was like, it was like 30 something dollars a gallon.
Wow.
And you're like, okay. And like doing the math to run all the whole national season, I did the math and it was like 8 grand extra just in fuel
Jeez.
over running E85. And I was just like, ugh, like that's a lot of money right there. Like that doesn't make sense to run a spec fuel to do that.
Yeah.
That and then there's some other rules about like uh turbo restrictors and stuff that they're doing to try to slow like the top guys down, which the top guys is like Subaru Vermont sports car. And it's not working because if you have enough money to develop an engine package that can use a smaller restrictor, then you're not going to lose power. But like a lot of people like me, we don't have those resources.
Yeah.
So putting that restrictor in, we're going to lose a ton of power and it, the car's slower. I just don't see the point of it to like pay the extra fuel bill and all the other stuff to go travel around the states to do that. So
Yeah. So just sticking with local circuits and having fun.
yeah, that's the plan.
So, what has been the most rewarding thing about driving rally?
Meeting people, like the rally community is so small. It's just like this big family, basically. Like everyone knows everybody. Like if you break something at a race, you can go up to like any team and be like, "Hey, do you have this?" And most of the time they'll just like hand it to you. So, and that's another reason why I wanted to get back in the rally because I missed that, rally family and hanging out with everybody. The drifting scene was not like that at all.
Yeah, that
It
was my
was
next
like,
question is how does it compare to the drifting community?
yeah, like when I was drifting at Pro Am, it wasn't like no teams talk to each other. Like there was like weird little clicky vibes and stuff. Like it was weird. So I didn't care for that at all. But
Yeah,
yeah, rallies way different with that aspect. So
yeah, that's good because one of my later questions was going to be to ask you about the rally community because I know, like, for us with the off road and overland community, especially, which is most of my guests and my listeners, just because since I have a cross track, that's most of the people that I've connected with. And it's like that too. You can
yeah,
pull up to Cars and Coffee with a completely stock Subaru and have all these just insanely built out Crosstreks and Outbacks and Foresters, and they make you feel very welcome and like you belong. And
yeah,
it's so cool to have that and to message people and have them give you advice on how to install something or just whatever. I mean, it's such a great community and it's really nice to be a part of that and feel like a family.
yeah, yeah. The Subaru community is awesome for that aspect.
Yeah. So what keeps you going back out to race?
Right now, so since I have my own car again, and like my whole program's under what I want to do, I can like kind of relax and have fun with it. Like when I was driving for Nameless, that was more of like, like a job, I guess. Like I have to go and drive this car and perform and do well.
Yeah.
So like it puts this extra pressure on you and kind of takes the fun out of it a little bit. I mean, some cases it didn't, some cases it did. Like if something happened with the car, it's like but I think having my own car, being able to have my own program and go out and do what I want to do, uh, it's that to me is fun. Like it takes a lot of pressure off and it makes me want to go out and do it more.
Yeah, it's like having a job and being your own boss.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you ever crash on any of the courses?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I've definitely had my fair share of crashes. Nothing nothing like too crazy, but yeah, definitely stuffed the car a few times. In 2017, I had a pretty gnarly wreck in the BRZ. It was like a left-hand corner, like we call it a left four.
Yeah.
So you're essentially, you're going pretty quick between third and fourth gear, flat out through the corner. And I don't know, to this day, I still have no idea what happened, but the car just like hooked up and went hard right, like head first into a tree.
Oh man.
And just we hit it and it flipped us 180 degrees around in the middle of the road. And we weren't able to continue the rally after that because it's been a bunch of suspension components, but that was probably the gnarliest one I've had.
Yeah. That sounds. I mean, I know it looks worse than it is a lot of times, but yeah, it sounds pretty gnarly.
Yeah. It's always scary. Like, just like I guess a normal car crash, but all that stuff happens in slow mo. So like
Oh yeah.
you're just like, oh, I'm gonna hit this tree and we're going 50. Like this is gonna hurt. Like,
Yeah. It was where
but
y'all are okay.
yeah, luckily the cars are pretty safe. You're harnessed in. You got to have a Hans device, so you don't really move once you're in there. But
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's good. I mean, it's good that they are built that way and that you're secured such that if you do have a pretty bad wreck, you're mostly okay.
yeah,
Yeah, it's good. So how do you feel like when you have a race day? How are you feeling on race day? Are you like, I mean, obviously you're very excited about it. You have a passion for it. Are you like able to sleep the night before? Are you anxious, excited, nervous?
I used to get super anxious and like I wouldn't sleep well, and I'd be like in my head about needing to do well like the next day. And I kind of over the years and I've like kind of blocked that mentality out. So now I just think about going out and having fun, and I don't think about needing to have results. And that kind of helps take the nervous edge off. I mean, obviously you still get nervous, but usually like after like halfway through the first stage, you're like, oh, okay, yeah, this is fun. Like I'm not nervous anymore.
Yeah, you get into your element and get relaxed and just enjoying the moment. And
Yeah.
it's like, now I'm here. Let's do this.
Yeah.
Yeah. What is race day like before the race? Like when everybody's getting ready? Because I'm guessing there's like a lot of people out there and fans and stuff. Like, what's that like?
So like for Olympus coming up, it's Saturday, Sunday, the event. So we're racing Saturday, racing Sunday. And then Friday we do this thing, it's called a recce, where we go in our pedestrian cars and drive all the stage roads.
Yeah.
And that's where we write our pace notes. So why me and Mitch will be gone all day doing that. And then in like the background, my crew guys will be taking the car through tech inspection. And then they do like crew check-in, like stuff like that. But usually the day before the rally's pretty low key. I mean, you're just doing recce if you're a racer, or you're a crew guy, you're, you know, hanging out at the hotel basically.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and then yeah, race day, usually they're pretty early. You'll go to a thing called Park Expo, and that's where all the cars are parked, and then they start releasing them one by one from there to start the race. And that's where like fans and all that stuff can come up, meet you, see the car, take pictures, all that good stuff.
Yeah. I've seen that, like, with the Subaru Motorsports USA posts. Looks like a lot of fun. A lot of people out there just ready
Yeah.
to watch the races and cheer some racers on. And just looks like a good time.
Yeah. Yeah, it is indeed.
You started off doing some rally, then you went into drift, and now you're really passionate about getting into rally again, especially having your own car. But if you were told you could not compete in rally anymore, what other activity do you think you would do? Something else that you're not already doing?
Like outside of rally or
Yeah, like if you were told, hey, you can't rally anymore for whatever stupid reason. I mean, it's
yeah.
like a just very hypothetical what if kind of question.
I think it would be kind of cool to take on like a role of like a crew chief for somebody, like a maybe like a young kid that's like up and coming that has, you know, enough financial means to be competitive in the sport and kind of help coach them and run their program for them. I think like a role like that would be pretty cool to do.
Yeah, yeah, it'd be nice. You've only done rally in Subarus?
Yeah, I did one race in an old AE86. That was a blast.
What is that? Because I don't know my cars that well.
It's an old it's a Toyota, so it's like yeah, but made in 1986 and it was like just like a little four-cylinder rear-wheel drive car. Super fun car, but you know, it was slow because I was raced the BRZ and then John, the owner of Nameless, had that car and was like, "Here, go drive it." And I was like, "Okay, I'll go do a rally in it. That'll be fun." You know, but it was like 120 horsepower, so
Yeah.
but still like a blast. But yeah, mainly just Subarus.
And what's it like driving a rear wheel drive versus an all wheel drive? Because I know the BRZ is rear wheel, and you said this one was rear wheel drive.
Yeah, you got to change up your driving style. So like with the BRZ, I mean, because it was turbocharged and it made 400 horsepower, so like it was fast, but you got to think like 400 horsepower on gravel coming out of a corner, you know, it
Yeah.
just lights the tires up. So you don't get much traction. So you got to like kind of change your driving style. So like with that car, I would try to like huck it really hard into the corners to keep momentum up. So you wouldn't like slow down too much and then have to speed back up and just blow the tires off. With an all-wheel drive car, you obviously try to keep as high momentum as you can through a corner, but you don't have to try as hard, I guess, because
Yeah.
you have the all-wheel drive system to help you.
Yeah. It's pretty amazing how the all wheel drive just keeps you stuck to the ground.
Yeah. So like, yeah, this new car I have like a Cusco front diff, Cusco rear diff, and then it has the DCCD. So it's got when all three diffs are all going, like it's insane how much traction that thing gets.
Yeah.
So it's wild.
Yeah. I mean, again, the only experience I really have is just watching Launch Control and Subaru Motorsports USA, videos on Instagram. But watching those and seeing how fast the cars are going through the turns, it's like, man, those things just like, they're not sliding off the road like you would think a car going that fast would. So that all wheel drive system is just pretty amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. And rally tires are pretty cool too. I don't know if you know much about them, but they have like crazy thick sidewalls, so you don't obviously like get punctures and stuff.
Yeah.
That still happens, but they're like some tires are like an inch thick. Like you can't even like move them with your hands when they're
Wow.
unmounted. And then a lot of them are made with like Kevlar.
Since we are talking about tires, we interrupt this program for a special announcement.
Hey, what's up? This is Bucky Lassick coming to you with a Subie and You podcast public service announcement. We all know that fuel prices are through the roof right now, so I recommend checking your tire pressures to maintain best fuel efficiency. You can do so by checking your door jam, but I can say if you're running a stock tire, generally 34 to 36 pounds will put you in the ballpark unless you're running an aftermarket tire. I highly recommend checking with the brand manufacturer for appropriate tire pressures.
Thank you so much for that, Bucky, because a lot of our listeners are running stock tires, so that's great information. And a lot of our listeners are running aftermarket wheels and tires, so that's great to keep in mind. So thank you so much for that.
You're welcome.
And now back to the episode.
So like, yeah, it's crazy to like you watch Subaru those videos and like how fast they go around corners and you know, you're just like thinking of the tires and how everything's working and you're like that shouldn't work. But
Yeah.
here it is.
Do you think that you will continue racing in a Subaru? I mean, obviously you have your own car, so that's something that you're going to end up using for a while, especially since it's kind of part of your business as well. But do you think that if you continue to race throughout the years that you will stick in a Subaru?
Probably it's it's an easy, there's so much aftermarket support for rally Subarus that it's hard to go to a different like manufacturer because most of them don't have support. So you'd either have to like make all your own parts to make some other chassis competitive, which people do, and I could do, but it's a lot more work. Subarus is nice because you can just order something from a ton of different companies that already make everything.
Yeah. And it seems like it's a lot more cost effective than that way in that sense too.
Yeah, like I've said earlier, like especially in the pits too, because so many people own Subarus, and you're like, hey, I broke this part, I don't have it. Do you have it? Like the chances of somebody having it is very high, and I've been saved multiple times in services when I broke stuff that I didn't have,
Yeah.
and the guy down a couple grid squares from me did. So
Now, you mentioned earlier about sponsorships that you would have to, if you wanted to compete on the higher level, you'd have to have some pretty beefy sponsorships. Do you have some current sponsorships, and do you have like any new ones coming up?
I do, yeah. So Nameless stepped up for Olympus to be my title sponsor. So that
Nice.
was really huge of them and helps out like financially like tenfold. So that's awesome. I got a couple other ones. I just got a new tire sponsor, a company called Tire Streets. They supply a whole bunch of different tires. They're just starting to get into stage rally, and they're
Oh, that's good.
carrying the MRF tire, which is used in the Australian Rally Championship, and some WRC cars have been running them. So I just actually got those tires and got them all mounted up. So I'm excited to see how they perform.
Now, will they supply like all the tires that you need through all the races?
Yeah, basically I got like a allotment of tires from them, and then if I need more, I can get more through them.
Yeah, that's really good. Any other sponsors on the horizon?
Primitive just came on board with my program. So even though
Very
I
nice.
worked there forever, but I finally was like, hey, what are we doing? Let's do this. So because Blake owns Primitive now because Paul's retiring. So yeah, Blake wanted to help out, so that's cool. It helps me out. And then a lot of my other ones are like part sponsorships and stuff like that. But like I used when I was driving the BRZ, I had a deal with our local dealership, Dick Hanna, and that was cool because that helped a lot of financial hardship to have them on board to help cover a lot of stuff.
Yeah, no, that's good. Yeah, Blake's a good guy. When I had him on the podcast, he ended up giving me a full set of skid plates from my Crosstrek as kind of like a somewhat sponsorship to help out with the podcast and my build. So I was like,
Nice.
yeah, I was like, man, thank you so much. So it was really nice of him to do that.
Yeah, Blake's a good guy.
Yeah. What is something that people may not know about the rally community?
Hmm. Probably how tight it actually is. I know I said it earlier how small the community is, but it is very small and we all talk to each other. So like you get some people that come in all high and mighty and like do things to other competitors to like screw them over basically, and it's like we all talk about that, and people probably don't know that. So
Yeah, so you got to be careful what you say about other people.
yeah, you get a whole community of angry rallies on your case real fast.
Yeah, but I mean, from what you talked about earlier, it sounds like that everybody gets along really well, and there's probably not too much of that, huh?
No, there's really not. Like
Yeah,
you could probably walk up to anybody in the service area and get thrown a beer or something after the race.
yeah, no, that's really cool. What is your favorite thing about being part of the rally community?
I like talking about it to people that like don't know much about rally because it is such a, like when you think about rally and what it is, racing in the middle of the forest on a narrow logging road in a crazy built race car, like it's pretty crazy to explain to somebody that doesn't know anything about it. So I like talking about that. And then probably the best part about rally is that you're out in the middle of the woods in like rural areas, and like the Olympus rally that's coming up, you'll be snaking through the trees, and it's just beautiful in the trees. And then you like pop out into these like clear cuts from logging, and there's, mountain ranges and all sorts of like beautiful scenery that like most people will never see in their life because they're never going to drive on that specific gravel road out in the middle of the Olympic National Forest,
Yeah.
So it's like you see things that no one else is going to see, and then you're racing down those roads, and that's super cool.
And I bet too that like you're in this car, you're going really, really fast. It's loud and noisy, and then you've got all the other cars, and then just the commotion of, the service area and all the fans and everything. But I can imagine too, with the way that you describe the scenery, that it's probably also very peaceful at the same time.
Yeah, even though there's so much going on, it can still be pretty peaceful. And rally is a weird sport too because you're not just like racing the whole time, right? So you're going to do a stage, and then you have to drive to the next stage, and then usually you'll drive and you'll get there like 10 minutes early to 15 minutes early, so you just had to get out of the car and hang out in the woods, so there's a whole lot of waiting around like that going on, and then you can enjoy the scenery some more that
Yeah,
way.
and not a bad place to be waiting around.
No.
So what is it like after the rallies when you're done with everything and you're done with the day? I mean, does people go out and hang out, or, you just like hanging out there at the event? Is there a big after party?
Some rallies have pretty crazy after parties, but like typically, you'll get back, you'll pack the car, trailer, and all that stuff, and do the awards ceremony. And by that time, there's people are drinking beers and hanging out. And then that kind of just turns into like almost like a block party, I guess. Just people walking around the pits, still packing up and getting ready to leave, but hanging out. So that's always fun. And the big after party, there's the New England Forest Rally out in Maine, and then we went to, and it's at a ski resort. So you end at the ski resort, so everyone goes in there, and then but you're in there just with like pastrana and stuff like that, and it's like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so what has it been like meeting some of these other, high level rally drivers?
That's the weirdest thing about rally. It's like you can just be some guy who's like, okay, I want to rally, and then you just like sign up, and you're like, oh, I race with like Pastrana, and used to race with Ken Block, rest in peace. But like I would tell people that, and they'd be like, "Oh, you race with them?" I'm like, "Oh, yeah." And that's weird, because like usually you got to be in like a high level motorsport to like race with people you watch on TV growing up your whole life.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool. But I remember one time it was Oregon Trail 2017. I was in the Beersy, and I was going really fast, and I think we were like fifth overall out of the whole rally. And I finished,
Nice.
and Pastrana came up to me and was like, "Holy crap, dude! Like you were going so fast in that thing. Like I can't even imagine doing that in that car." Like, and like shook my hand, and I was like, "Oh, you have your little fanboy moment, and you're like, oh, dude, that's so cool."
Yeah. Yeah.
But that dude is so humble. So
Yeah, I've heard nothing but good things about him, and I hope that I can get him on the podcast at some point.
no, that'd be
So,
cool.
because I have had his co-driver on. I had Rhiannon Gelsomino on a couple of times.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
She's a
so
sweetheart.
yeah, she's really nice. So, who, I guess, of all the people that you've met, who did you like fanboy over the most?
Probably Pastrana, just because like you watch him do motocross, and then he moves on to his next thing, and then you watch him do that, and kind of grow up watching this dude, and then you're like racing with him, and then you're talking to him and drinking beers with him. Like it's surreal, kind of, and you're just like, oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah, I know, because I just imagine like being somebody that it was that you were watching at some point. You never imagined like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna actually meet him and race with him.
Yeah, yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah. So do you have like a big dream for rally in your life and in your future?
My dreams have definitely changed with that. Like when I first got into it, I was convinced that Subaru Vermont sports car would like pick me up or something, even though they don't do that. But
Yeah.
I was convinced I was going to do that. Now being older and realizing like that kind of thing doesn't happen in US rally. Like overseas, there's like all sorts of programs for like young kids getting into the sport. And yeah, nothing like that sadly exists here, which is too bad. But right now, I would like to race as much as possible and have like the sponsorship to allow me to do as many events as I can. That's not, out of my pocket essentially. And that is a lot to ask for because rally, there's like no TV coverage. You can't really cover the event because of
Yeah.
what it is. So that's the hard thing about rally is getting sponsorships because they're like, well, how do we watch it? How do we see it? And you're like,
Yeah.
oh, you don't. So,
You got to
but
pay a lot of money for a TV crew to come out here and put a bunch of cameras all over the stages. That's how you do it.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, it would be cool. I would like to do as much racing as I can.
And just go with it and
Yeah.
enjoy it.
Yeah, if I could do a whole national campaign, that'd be cool. But
Yeah. Hey, you know, it's
one day,
possible. Yeah.
maybe.
So does your girlfriend go with you when you travel?
Yeah, she'll go with me. She'll usually like hang out with my parents because they go up and spectate. So, but then she'll help out with like food and stuff like that and service.
Does she enjoy the actual rally aspect
Oh
of
yeah,
it? Yeah, that's good.
that's how I actually met her. As at our local racetrack, PIR, Portland International Raceway,
Hmm.
and she was hanging out with some of my other friends, and she like just moved into the area, and I had my race car, and I was like, oh yeah, this is what I do, and race with Travis Pastrana. And
Name drop.
yeah, and then she was like hooked after that, and then she went to an event because there's one like a month later, and got to experience it. So yeah, she loves it.
That's good. Does she have any interest in doing like co-driving or anything?
At one point, she said she would like to do it, but I, I bet that's probably changed now.
Yeah. Yeah. That's good to have somebody that's that supportive and comes with you and enjoys it, because you could have somebody that supports you, but it's like, yeah, it's not really my thing. I'll come with you, whatever. But that sounds like it's really cool and that she enjoys it. And I'm sure she's like thrilled for you and happy for you.
Yeah, yeah, and yeah, that's a big part of why she's so cool is because I know a lot of other people that try to race and they have like the nagging wife that's like, you're spending too much money, you need to knock it off, and it's like, ugh.
Yeah.
I'm glad I don't have to deal with that.
Yeah, it's good to have somebody that helps support your dream and your passion.
Yeah, exactly. And
Very
she's
nice.
been building the car. There's times where I was like, I'm just kind of over it. Maybe I'll just sell it. And she's like, no, finish it. So yeah, having someone that supports you doing what you want to do is huge.
Yeah. Yeah, that was one of my questions that I forgot to ask did you get to any, because you said it took you 3 years. Were there any times where you're like, man, what am I doing? This is just too much to take on. I think I'm going to give it up.
Oh, many times.
Yeah.
Many times.
Yeah.
It's just, like you think about like how much money I've put into that car, and I was just like, there's so many other things I could be doing. Like, you know, I don't own my own house. Like I probably could have bought like a nice house by now, but it is
Yeah.
what it is, I guess.
So besides your girlfriend saying, no, keep going, keep doing it, what are some other things that just kind of spoke to you just to keep going?
I don't like quitting things. So like as much as I in the past have gotten over the project and was just like kind of lost the motivation. I had to finish it. I had to see it through.
Yeah.
Just because there's a lot of people like on my Instagram and stuff that have been following that build since day one, and I don't know. felt like I'd let a lot of people down if I just was like, I'm not going to finish it. Just kidding.
Yeah. Yeah. And then you would be, I'm sure you'd be regretting it too. You'd be like, oh, come on, I should have just stuck it through.
Yeah, probably definitely would have regretted it.
Now, when you going back to when you first started racing and with your first car, were you a fan of rally growing up?
So I didn't even know rally existed. Not like locally, like I watched WRC on TV sometimes, but like I didn't really know what it was. Like I knew what it like was because I like watched it, but not how I didn't know what the sport was. And I was in my 2000 Impreza, and a lot of times when I was younger, I would just go to PIR on weekdays because you can just drive in and there'd be like cars racing that you could watch for free.
Mm-hmm.
And I went and did that. And when I was leaving, there's a huge grass field out front, and there was guys doing rallycross. And I was like, what is this? Like they're all in Subarus out in this field. And I pulled up and I like asked this lady and I was like, what's going on? And then she told me and I was just like, huh. So I watched it and I was like, when's the next one? And then I went to it and I was like, okay, this is fun. And then did that a couple more times and then started like actually like looking into what I was doing, and then I was like, oh, so stage rally is what I've been watching on TV. And shortly after that, I started working at Primitive, and then one thing led to another.
Yeah. Yeah. You kind of got immersed in the rally world there, I'm sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
went hard into it.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool. Yeah. I mean, like I said earlier, I didn't really know anything about Subaru when I bought mine. And I definitely didn't know about rally or stage rally or rallycross or anything. And so, learning for this has been like a whole learning process for me. And, I've mentioned it before, but sometimes I feel like a little bit of a fraud because I had my car for about 3 months, started connecting with people, seeing all these posts that people were doing with their mods. And, because I was just getting connected with the community, the general Subaru community.
Yeah.
But then I had the idea to start the podcast because I started seeing how passionate people were with sharing places they were going and their mod lists, and their posts. And I was thinking like, okay, these people are obviously passionate about their cars. And then, maybe they might be interested in talking about it like in long form and, a different way to share their experiences. So then I had the idea for the podcast, lined up my first few guests, started it, launched the first episode on January 4th, 2021. But there's like so much that like the Subaru world is so vast. I mean, it is very small in comparison to like the rest of the world and other car manufacturers and stuff. But there's like so many passionate people that have been following Subaru for so long and
Yeah.
that know so much about Subaru too, that know all of the rally drivers because they watched them growing up. And then here comes this guy that knows absolutely nothing about Subaru and starts a podcast and let's talk. But it's been a lot of fun because I've had some really good opportunities to have some really cool people on in the community and in the rally community. So it's just been a big learning experience for me.
Yeah. No, that was cool. That's the cool thing about like the Subaru, because there's like, there's the rally guys, and there's like the whole like drag racing and circuit racing guys and autocross, or like just the stance guys. Like there's so much to Subaru, and like all the different avenues people take their car builds and what they do with them. It's a cool brand. Because obviously working at Nameless, where Subaru exhaust manufacturers, so
Yeah.
I deal with all of those people and talk to them on the phone and email and all that all the time. And then I dealt with those same people when I worked at Primitive. So it's like I've been immersed in Subaru and everyone and all their builds and stuff for over a decade now, and it's cool.
Yeah. So where's Nameless? I don't remember what part of the country. I know it's out west.
We're in Washington State,
Okay.
so we're north of Portland by half hour.
Okay. Yeah. So how far are you from where Mitch is? Because I know he's in Oregon, right?
Yeah, he's like 2 hours south of us.
Oh, it's not bad.
No.
So what's it been like working with him and Melee Media?
They're good. Ryan's a cool guy, super smart. I don't do too much like media stuff with them, like on like the nameless side.
Okay.
Somebody else handles that here,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
they do fantastic work. So
Yeah.
for just the two of them, I mean, there seems like they should have 8 people doing what they do, but
Mitch is always busy. I mean, he is
oh yeah,
always busy, which is good. You know, I'm happy for him. It's cool because like when I had him on the podcast, and like his episode is still my favorite because of what he was doing for a profession before he started Melee Design Firm to what he's doing now, like just following his dream and his passion. I mean, it's so cool to see where he has taken Melee, you know, and not
yeah,
just, I mean, he's got the product side and then he's got the media side. So he's, you know, I know it's a lot of work, but he seems to really be enjoying it.
yeah, yeah. He's got a cool story. Like you leave your nice cushy job to go into this unknown world, and he's just taking it by the horns, basically.
Yeah, because when I had him on, he was saying that he went to some like manufacturer company to pitch the idea of the battery mount, and he said, you know, they didn't like the idea, they didn't want to go with it or whatever, and he goes, so it pissed me off enough, and I went home and started my own business that night. And I was like, oh my gosh, it's so cool.
I remember when he started the battery box company and seeing how far it's like grown today. It's like it's crazy to me.
Yeah, it's good.
It's so cool, like how many people have his product in his car, from like everyday people to like celebrities and stuff, like in the car world. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's good. Was there anything else that you wanted to talk about as far as your build or your rally journey or yourself?
I'm sure I blabbled on enough.
No, it's been great. It's been great having you on. And, you know, it's always nice to have, like I said, the majority of my guests have been just people in the community that have some sort of overland build. So it's nice to have, you know, just different things and different people on the podcast to keep it fresh and interesting and give somebody, you know, could give all the people who are listening to it something new to listen to.
Yeah, no, for sure.
So good story, man.
Keep them on their toes.
Yeah. Well, thank you for taking the time. It was great having you on. And thank you, Mitch, for getting us connected.
Yeah, thank you, Mitch. But yeah, thanks for having me. This is my first podcast, so it was fun.
Good.
Fun to kind of talk about myself and what I'm doing and what I've been doing.
Yeah. I mean, it's cool to hear more about the rally community and kind of just, you know, the other end of it. So,
yeah.
So, all right, man. Well, have a good night, and I'll talk to you later.
All right. Take it easy.
All right. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of the podcast. If you're not doing so already, go check out Stephen Red Racing on Instagram so you can give Stephen a follow. Thank you again, Stephen, for taking the time to be a guest on the podcast. It was great to get some more rally and I guess stage rally content on the podcast because it's really interesting and it's something that a lot of us don't do on a regular basis. So I think it'd be something fun to try at least once just to go drive or co-drive. But for all of those, for those of you for those of you who have been able to go out to a rally and spectate, that's really, really cool. I hope that I can make it out at some point. It's just going to be a matter of good timing. So we'll see. We will see. There are quite a few that are happening this year. So hopefully maybe I can plan something out and make it out to one. But anyway, thanks again so much for listening. I hope you all have a great week. If you want to help support the podcast, you can go to subieandyoupodcast.com, click on the support the podcast link right there on the front. So thanks again. Hope you all have a wonderful week and a wonderful day. And if you enjoyed this episode, share. Always share. Continue sharing. Thank you.